Welcome back to Behind the Filter podcast. I'm your host, Johnette Cruz, and I have a guest, and her name is Kat Perkins, and she came here by way of my good friend Misha, because Misha called me and was like, you've got to have this woman on your podcast. And I said, okay. So you're here now.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
It's such a pleasure to be on the air with you today. I'm just really excited to share my book, which will be out next month. I'm just, I'm on a roll right now trying to get it out with pre-launch readings.
Yes.
And just to kind of set the stage, set the tone so people will know what the book is all about.
So the book, it's called Girls with Pearls Have Power, Cultivating Hope, Fueling Perseverance, Celebrating Resilience.
That's absolutely right.
That is a lot. I feel like, no, just from hearing that, the title and like what it says underneath, like it feels like it's a pretty deep read.
It is. It's a very deep read. In fact, the book is my memoir of my life, told in a narrative form coupled with poetry.
Okay.
So all my life I've, written things down. Never considered myself to be a poet or a writer, but I've always doodled, just paper and pads everywhere, just writing different things, inspirational quotes, affirmations, just writing. And a couple of years ago, I went to Warwick, Rhode Island, my husband and I, and we were staying at our bed and breakfast.
Uh-huh.
And on the ocean, it was just so beautiful. And while I was there, I was just sitting out on the deck early in the morning watching the sunrise. It was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was like the sun was like yellow, and then it started to be bright orange, and it just rose up out of the earth, and it was like amazing. So I just started writing things, and I'm doing these poems, and I didn't realize that's what I was doing. And so I started writing affirmations for women, for girls, and and I love pearls, and it was titled "Girls with Pearls Have Power." And I just left it at that, and then I just kind of tossed it to the side and put it on the shelf with the rest of the unfinished work, right? You know how we do. We start something that's on the unfinished side.
Right.
So I just left it there. So then the last couple of years ago, 24 months ago, I was hit with breast cancer.
Mm.
And I had to endure 12 rounds of chemotherapy and 20 rounds of radiation.
Wow.
And I finished my treatment in November. But in the midst of the breast cancer, I could still hear things, and I'm still writing things. And the election had taken place, and everybody was wearing pearls, and everybody was talking about chucks and pearls. And I had the chucks, and I had the pearls. And I said, well, hey, I wrote something about some pearls. And I'm like, what did I write about pearls? So I pulled it out, and I'm like, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning. It woke me up and said, now is the time for your book to come out. And I'm like, wow. That's the pearls. What am I going to say? So I just pulled it out, and I woke up at 5, and I just started writing. And it was like just affirmations, nothing deep, just affirmations, to make you feel good about yourself, to let you know that you can make it no matter what the world says about you, no matter what somebody thinks about you. You're all good, and you're more than enough, all of that. I was just writing these affirmations. And so after I finished writing everything down, I was at my personal trainer's house, and I'm like, I need somebody to edit this work, because I really think this is the time for it to come out, but I really don't know, what to do. And he said, I got the perfect person. And she just happened to be in our training class, and she was a professor at Emory University.
Mm-hmm.
And her name was Dr. Tamika Connolly. And so I hired her to look at my work, and, she looked at it, and she says, oh my God, this is really good. And I'm saying, she's saying that? It's really good. I mean, you're talking about an English professor telling you something that you have written.
That's big.
That was powerful for me. And I'm like, man, maybe I do know how to do something. Maybe I do have something. So she just kept reading, and she says, this is a mantra for women and girls all over the world. Every color, every creed, every nationality. Women and girls go through so much. This work has to get out. And I'm looking at her like, at first I wasn't sure whether am I being chastised, or is she helping me? What's she doing? But she was teaching me. And I was like, wow, I had no idea how strong it was. Again, I'm writing some things that were just in my heart, on my mind, and I had been writing it for 2 years. They're just on the shelf. And so I wrote it, and I had to give her the second phase of the editing.
Mm-hmm.
And she came back, and she sat on my porch at home, and she told me to stay in the house till she finished. And she came back in, and she laid it on the table, and she says, you don't have one book, you have two. And I'm like, two? I need you to look at this again. I think it's amazing, but you have 2 books, and look at it, and then you tell me where the books break apart. And I had to go back to work, and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I said, wow, she's telling the truth. She knows what she's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So before I realized anything from my writing, I was writing about myself. I was writing about things that had happened to me as a little girl. I was writing about things that had propelled me into my youth, into an adult, into a woman. I was writing about trauma. I was writing about pain. I was writing about laughter. I was writing about the rain. I was writing about the moon because I love the moon. I was writing about all kinds of things, but it all came back to me. I was writing about the fact that I lost my mom when I was 9 years old. She wore pearls. I was writing about the fact that I loved Lucy and Donna Reed and those crazy TV shows early back in the day kind of shows, and they all wore pearls. And I'm just writing and writing and writing, and I'm saying, these women are just, they were like my sheroes. And so I identified with them, with the pearls. And so I just kept writing and kept writing. I handed it back to her, and she said, this is it. This is it. So I didn't know. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do now? What am I supposed to do now? So, so I ended up getting a publisher to help me publish. It's like a hybrid kind of deal.
Okay.
And he, as a matter of fact, this gentleman did Chicken Soup for the Soul. You heard of that?
Yes.
Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
Yep.
So he did an interview with me on the phone one night, and I didn't realize that he was really interviewing me. He was asking me questions and asking me questions, and my husband was sitting there, and I'm like, okay, well, am I answering it right? And I just kept, he was talking to me, and he says, I think you really have something here, Kat. And I'm saying, did he just say that?
Wow.
Did she say that? And I'm
Right.
like, wow. So he said I really had something. And so, but he, and then again, he says, but you got to go deeper. So everybody, I just kept going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper until finally that deepness came out again with that narrative, talking about me, talking about my life in poetry form. And boom, now the book is, as a matter of fact, that one title was just supposed to be Girls of Pearls Have Power. But after I started getting into it and I realized what it was all about, yes, we have power, but what do we have power to do? We have power to cultivate hope. We have power to fuel perseverance. And we have definitely got the power to celebrate resilience. Because I've been to hell and back. I've been in high water. I have been there, done that, got the t-shirt, the coffee mug, wrote the book about it, the whole 9 yards. And so now I celebrate resilience with a clean heart, with a full heart. And I know that the cancer can't beat me. You know, my childhood experiences can't take me out. They can't beat me because I am a resilient pearl. And I'm on a mission to tell every woman, every girl, everywhere, all over the world that we are more than enough. That we don't have to take things lying down. We don't have to hold our head down. It's time for us to pop our collars and let the world know what we are, who we are, and what we're made of.
Oh
because
my
we're
gosh.
resilient.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting preached at right now. I love it. But I agree, like when you have been to like the bottom of the bottom, and that's kind of how my life has been. And so I know now because of all the trauma I've gone through and all the therapy and all of that, that not that I've completely made it on the other side, but I think it makes us be a certain way. When we have new trials and things that come into our life, we just handle it differently because it's like, we've been through hell and back. Yeah. So we know there's nothing that we can't handle because we've already gone through probably the worst of the worst. And so, but now we're still going to like celebrate life and we're still going to be resilient through whatever gets thrown our way because we know that's how we've built our character.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. It's amazing. And you know, I did some pre-reading for, you know, like 10 people in the beginning just to kind of get an idea of what they thought or how they would respond or react to what I had written. And every woman that I read this information to, and I didn't read them all the same thing. I read everybody something different out of the book. They were crying and just, oh my God, I can't, this is me. I mean, because my words are, this is not just about me. This is about you and women here and girls here, just everywhere. This is not just my story. This is everyone's story who's faced trials and adversity and didn't realize and didn't think or didn't believe that they can make it through. So that's what this was all about. It's all about a power within yourself. And this one girl, I'll never forget, she was like, oh my God, I can't believe. She said, girl, let me tell you something. She says, you know, I never would have thought all those things about you, you know, because you've always been so strong and so put together, you know, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you dress, you've always just so, oh my God, I can't believe. I always thought that you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth.
Isn't that amazing what
That's
people
amazing.
think a
I'm
lot
like,
when
wow.
you're like, you have no idea.
That's what I'm saying. I'm
Yeah.
like, silver spoon. I'm like, girl, listen, we lucky we had some silverware to
Yeah.
eat with. I said the spoons were tarnished and bent, and the forks were, I don't know, did we have forks? And I know none of the silverware matched. I said, but my mom was an excellent cook, so we did get a chance to eat. But no, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. And she says, oh my God. Then she breaks down and she starts crying. She says, but these things that you're talking about, now I realize some of these things have happened to me. Now I know why my mother was always so mean to me. My mother was always snapping at me because she really didn't, she had this love-hate relationship from my father, and I looked just like my father. And because I looked like my father and he wasn't in the home with us anymore, she would put things on me that she should have been putting on my father.
Yeah.
And she made me feel guilty, and I just never felt like she loved me. Like, it was just so hard on me. And she said, so now I know that it was not me. I said, you're absolutely right. She said, now I know I'm more than enough. I said, you damn skipper, you more than enough. Because that's what I was trying to tell her.
Yeah.
You are more than enough. You don't have to take on your mother's issues. Those are your mother's issues. Had nothing to do with you. You were just caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
But she had to release that toxic thinking that she had about her mom and why her mom didn't love her, but her mom did love her. Her mom just was seeing her father in her.
Yeah.
And she couldn't stand to look at her because each time she looked at her, she was looking at her daddy, a man that she was still in love with. Isn't that deep? The sins of our parents.
Yep.
How about that?
Yep.
Well, so that on her end, it was like, it gave her a breakthrough.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I am not a therapist by no means, And my book, I'll tell you in a minute, it is not here to fix you, but it's just here to remind you that you were never broken in the beginning. We've been fooled into thinking that that's what's going on with us.
Huh.
You follow me?
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's good.
We're more than that. We are stronger than that. We are better
Because
than that.
we are essentially taught that we were broken.
That we are not broken. We were not broken. Let me go biblical on you for a second.
Yes, please do.
When Jesus died and he went to the tomb and they laid him in the tomb, and who did they send in there to go see if he was still there? What were they going to do? They was going to anoint him. Who did they send? They didn't send Peter, Paul, and John. They sent Mary.
Sent Mary.
They sent Mary. They sent the Marys. Mary.
Yeah.
And it was the women, the strong women, because I don't think a man could have been able to handle that. It was the strong women that realized that he's not there. He's not there. Look at us. When we give birth, that is some of the most excruciating pain that a person could ever endure in life. Men can't handle toothaches. Our hips crack, our backs break when we give birth. We were designed for pain.
Yeah.
We were created to bear pain. You follow me? Mm-hmm. When the world goes crazy and gets all jacked up in disarray, it's women that come together to try to bring things together to make things better. So the world needs to look at that. This is about the strength and the power of the woman.
Yeah.
Yes, we go through things. Yes, we go through pain. But we're going to always come out on the other side, and we're going to come out winners every time.
That's so true.
It may be hard as heck trying to get there.
Yeah, I know.
Somewhere over the rainbow, but we will get there. And it's okay because that's our destiny. That's what we were designed to do. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, when a husband and wife gets married and they say, do you take this man, you take this woman to love, honor, and cherish? The Bible never says that the woman had to love her husband. Mm-hmm. He said that she was just a helpmeet for him. He's the one supposed to be doing all that other stuff, taking care of the kids, taking care of the house. We're just supposed to be his helpmate. We his backup. But the roles have been reversed. And now we've having to take the lead.
Yeah.
Because they missed the assignment. Mm-hmm. You follow me?
Yeah.
So we are resilient in more ways than one.
It's like we constantly adapt to whatever situation we've been put in.
Because that's what we're made. That's what we're empowered to do. That is our strength. What we say, somebody told me, this girl, let me go back. My background is in finance, real estate and finance, 35 years. And I used to do a talk show. I was like Olivia Pope, the fixer. Just call Diane, she can do it. Call her, she can do it. Whatever you need, she can do it. If she can't do it, it cannot be done. That was my thing. I was the fixer. But people don't realize, we can fix things, but we don't always want to have to be the ones to fix things.
Right.
But I had this one gentleman on this radio show said, this woman right here, can spin on a dime and give you the change.
I love that.
So he gave me that, and it kind of like stuck, and people to call Diane, she can do it. And so I became the fixer, But again, sometimes
Being the fixer is
that's
exhausting.
what I'm saying.
You're like, you don't want to do that all the time.
Like I'm exhausted of being the fixer. So again, this book is not designed to fix anybody.
Yeah.
But it's designed to let you know that you were never broken in the beginning, and that you have the strength and the power within yourself to be resilient.
I love
that's
that
who you are.
because so many people, and it's so funny that you mentioned that because I just recorded a podcast and it's out right now just talking about like intuition and how like we're always trying to find like a coach or somebody to tell us what to do because we don't know what to do. But I'm like, but if you just sit still,
Yep.
if you are just still and if you are just with yourself and you start doing that personal development on your own, you will find your own answers.
That's right.
You
That's
don't
right.
need a coach and go spend $500, $1,000, like all this change, just so that somebody can go tell you what to do because you're just not listening to yourself.
That's exactly right. And they're telling you something that you already know. You're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely right.
With your book, so I know you said like it's a mixture of like affirmations and poems. How does it start? Is it like are you like telling a story from your perspective and then does it kind of journey through that way or is it kind of like a mixed bag? Like how does it journey through everything? How's it laid out?
It starts off as an introduction. I have an introduction part 1, introduction part 2 to kind of give you an idea of, I'm talking about what a pearl is. We look at pearls as just some beautiful jewelry.
Yeah.
But the pearl had to go through some stuff to become that beautiful piece of jewelry. And I wear them all the time. They had to go through some. Pearls are created from the mollusca, the dust at the bottom of the sea. Pearls they are in the shell, and the shell closes trying to keep that mollusk dust out, and they form and cover in what they call macra,
Okay.
and it covers the pearl to keep the dirt out. So pearls are created from mess, from dirt, from strife, from heartache, from pain. That's how we become resilient. We were built and created and built and built. It's like layer on top of layer on top of layer on top of layer. That's how a pearl is formed. So I talk about that in the beginning so you'll understand why I titled it Girls with Pearls Have Power. It's not just about wearing a necklace.
Yeah.
It's not just about wearing a bracelet. It's not just about wearing pearl earrings. It's about how you were formed, what you had to go through to get to where you are right now. That's what that's about. And then from there, the part 1, the part 2, I talk about where I came from, the neighborhood, 30th Street. So it starts off talking about me. It's a narrative. Okay. So I'm telling a story. And that story, after the narrative for the first part, 30th Street, then I come back with poetry that goes with 30th Street so you can understand where that poetry came from. That poetry was birthed out of 30th Street. Then I come back from the poetry because maybe 2 or 3 poems from 30th Street. Let me just kind of give you an idea.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Here, we can move that out of the way a little bit.
Okay. I'm just going to read you just a little bit.
Here, and you find your space.
Okay. So, introduction part 1 of Girls with Pearls Have Power, cultivating hope, fueling perseverance, and celebrating resilience. I am Kat Perkins, transformational speaker, life strategist, ordained minister, artist, and poetic author extraordinaire. The poem that you are about to read is my life's memoir, told in a poetic flow, utilizing the precious gem, the pearl, as a symbol and metaphor. I wrote it as one long poem highlighting different times in my life. You can experience it as a poem of many, and as you savor its flavor, you may find yourself totally immersed in the flow. Come with me as we enter the enchanting realm of Girls with Pearls Have Power, where each pearl's illustrious beauty reflects the inner strength and confidence of those who wear them. The symbolism of pearls transcend more adornment than embodying the essence of feminine power. Explore the intricate tapestry of femininity and the portrait of hope, faith, perseverance, resilience, love, and empowerment woven through the timeless allure of pearls in this poetic journey of my life. where the beauty and strength intertwine. This narrative illuminates not just my path, but also the girls and women around the world who face life's obstacles and yet embrace their unique capabilities. It is my prayer that this symphony of words captivates you as I share my search for love, understanding, identity, and family through make-believe television characters in an effort to remedy the horrific experiences of parental loss, abuse, lovelessness. These ills are combated by my overflowing faith, confidence, and indomitable spirit. So step into the world with me where the elegance of pearls serve as a metaphor for the resilience of she, and discover the radiant glow of empowerment that emanates and leaps from each page of this poetic dialogue as I embrace my inner strength with grace, confidence, and poise, just as my mother did with pearls adorning her neck during her short but meaningful time here on earth. So that's
awesome.
Introduction of part 1. And then you have to hear part 2 to get an understanding.
Mm-hmm.
I had to face the world head on without a helmet. As a child, I received many blows. Some were meant to knock me out and others were meant to take me out. But in theory, they only knocked me down. The thing is, I didn't stay down. With hope, I wheeled myself back up before the end of the count. Have you ever felt hopeless, so much so that the very idea of making it through seemed impossible, and no matter what you did, nothing changed? Have you ever felt like the wind had been knocked out of your body? I remember that as a little girl growing up with 6 brothers, they did a lot of punching on one another, and one day I found myself in the midst of their boyish ways. I was in the crossfire of one very hard and quick punch. Boom! And it was a direct blow to my chest. The impact was so intensely severe that I had difficulty catching my breath. It literally knocked the wind out of me. In a panic, I thought it was over as I found myself slowly going down to the floor in excruciating pain. This scared the boys just as much as it scared me. And yes, they had to answer to my daddy for their carelessness. But back to my point, this is what life's circumstances can do to you. Can you relate to this? Have you ever felt like life has knocked the wind out of you? And in a panic, you can't seem to catch your breath? Have you ever felt like bad things just keep happening and they're only happening to you? Have you ever been harmed openly and insidiously by those who were charged to love and care for you? Do not be discouraged because you are not alone. I truly understand, my friends, that this struggle is real. Believe me, I've been there too, and I know what it is like not to have anyone there to fight for you. I'm sharing this with you because this isn't just my story. This is the story of everyone who's ever felt hopeless and held back by doubt, fear, or circumstances. It is my life's mission to share the fact that life has endless possibilities with this world, and I want you to know that the best of your life is not in your rearview mirror. It is just about to begin. So flow with me on this poetic journey as it will awaken your inner spirit and reignite your passion, so much so that you will take off running to create a life that you deserve and to live a life that you absolutely love and adore. Today, my friends, marks the first day of the best chapter of the rest of your life. Are you ready? Let's go.
Wow.
So that's where it starts. And then it talks about 30th Street, and I won't go into details about 30th Street.
I want this book.
Okay. So I will read a poem or two from it. So 30th Street talks about where I grew up, how I grew up,
Okay.
things that were traumatic to me, how I lost my mom. She was 35 years old, and she died of cancer. And I was just a little girl, and so I never got a chance to say goodbye because she was in the hospital, and they wouldn't allow us to go and see her because we were little kids. And at that time, they wouldn't let kids come up to the hospital. So my dad would go to the hospital room to see her. She was at Methodist Hospital on Illinois Street on the 3rd floor.
Wow, and they wouldn't allow kids
They wouldn't
at that
allow
time?
the kids at the time to come to the hospital. We were too young. So what my dad would do, we would all go to the hospital, and we would have to stay in the car. And my dad would go up to the hospital room and visit my mom, and he would wave to us from the hospital window and blow a kiss from my mom. And I would never forget that because every time I go down Illinois Street, I look up to that same window, and I've been doing it for over 50 years. My mom died when she was 35, and I'm 60-something. Don't tell nobody. But anyway, yeah. But anyway, that's how that story went. And it was some things that triggered from that took us to a whole different level of life, from being ripped from our moms by the death, from being torn away from our father because he couldn't handle the pain, and we were stripped and placed in foster care and was abused and beaten. It was just a whole genre of things that happened. Not for anybody to feel sorry for me, but I want people to look at me and say, damn, this girl went through all of that and you made it through.
Right.
That's resilience. So the pearl in the rim where elegance and strength intertwine. Girls with pearls have power. In grandeur they shine, resembling tiny sun-kissed moons, round and carefully designed. Once graced a mother's neck, I'm talking about mine. Uniquely formed and beautifully aligned, each lustrous orb a testament to trials faced and love intertwined. Girls with pearls have power. Holding illustrious iridescent streaks of color at sight, pearls are symbols of powerful elegance, gleaming in the soft, mellow light. One by one, they portray hope, strength, value, and love, echoing the path of life. Created from above, a divine embrace, whispers of resilience, cutting through strife. Girls with pearls have power. She wears them with grace, she wears them with pride, yet beneath the facade a tempest reside. Abused as a child, no one by my side. Depicted as black, painted as ugly, ridiculed unjustly, shown no mercy. I was told to hide. With no one to shield and protect this little girl at 9, she's lost and confused because her mother had died. Yearning for warmth from a guiding hand, navigating shadows in this desolate land. Girls with pearls have power. My mother was gone, I was all alone, watching TV, looking for a piece of me. And whom could it be? June Cleaver, Donna Reed, or the classic funny Lucy? Each a beacon in a world so unkind, their pearls simmering brightly while I sought to find mine. Girls with pearls have power. Each TV mom wore pearls, dressed to the nines, secured they bind in their crafted design, each strand gifted to them, unlike my mother's, unlike mine. Yet in their glow a promise unfolds, strength does not wither, it transforms, it's bold. In the heart of a girl where bravery ignites, a flame of determination soars to new heights. So I gather my pearls, each memory a strand, worn not just for beauty, but as an armor I stand. For in their reflection I see her grace, the spirit of my mother in this sacred place. No longer just an echo, but a melody profound in the echoes of women where true power is found. With pearls as my armor, I rise and reclaim a legacy of strength in my mother's name. Girls with pearls have power.
Oh my gosh. I was like starting to get teary-eyed. I had to like hold it in. That is amazing.
Just a little bit of something so you can kind of
a little bit of something. I don't know about that. That's not a little bit of something. It's a lot. Wow. Well, even the way you narrated that.
Oh wow.
Like your tone and your inflection and the way you communicate it and the way you speak, there's such emotion behind it. Like it's like I could feel what those words were saying.
Wow, thank you.
Wow.
Because everything in here is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
So there's nothing puffed up, there's nothing made up, nothing created. This is the truth. This is my life. The things that I've had to endure. It wasn't pretty, but it was necessary.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty, but it was necessary because it formed me and created me into the woman that I am today. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a business owner. I've been in real estate and finance for over 35 years. I've owned a mortgage company for I don't know how long. So now I am on reassignment. So people say, "Are you retiring?" I'm like, "No, I am on reassignment."
You just made a pivot.
Yeah, you're right. I'm on reassignment. I'm doing what I've been called to do, and it's for a moment right now. And it's not just for me. Mm-hmm. It's for you, and for you, and for you, and for you. For women all over the world. And again, men, I want you to read this book too. You know why? Because if you read this book, it will give you a deeper understanding and a better understanding of the women in which you love. Your mother, your sister, your woman, and your wife. And maybe even your significant other. But it's for you as well. So when it comes out, I want you to pick up a copy because it's going to help you too.
Mm-hmm. And so when does it come out now?
It's going to come out in July.
In July.
In the July, it should be ready by July the 27th. It's already gone through editing.
Okay.
I just got an email yesterday with my new schedule. I haven't even looked at it. I'm like, okay, I'm going to look later because I don't want to get too excited because I'm already excited for this weekend because I'm here for my 50th high school class reunion.
Are you really?
Yes.
How fun.
And I'm still 35, y'all. Just so you know, I'm still 35.
You know, it's so funny because my son's 15. I'm 42. And so my son is always like, I always just tell people you're like 32. I'm like, great.
That sounds good.
You say that the rest of your life. Thank you very much. I will always be 32. I appreciate that.
So that's why I'm here. Again, I'm from Atlanta. I was born here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
But I moved to Atlanta in 1988, and I've been there ever since. So you can say I'm really almost like a Georgia peach for real.
Yeah.
So I flew in yesterday, and I'm here for my class reunion, and I'm here with my sister, my bestie, Netta, and her family.
That's awesome.
And I'm just really looking forward to having a great time. And while I'm here, I'm going to share this information. And then on Sunday, and I know if you heard anything in just a little bit of the bio, I am a transformational speaker, but I am an ordained minister. So I am preaching at a church here on Sunday.
Awesome.
Called, what's the name of the church, Netta? Anyway, it's at 2800 East 39th Street, so meet me there today.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so that's where I'll be. This is called Total Praise and Worship Center. Pastor Gigi Jordan. Gigi, I'm sorry, but chemo brain still has me.
Right, of course.
We're going through those treatments. Sometimes, I'm like, now, what did I just say? But it's getting better. It's getting better. So charge it to my head and not my heart. I'm not really dingy like you think. So it's all good. It's all good. But anyway, that's what we're doing on Sunday.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to it. I'm preaching a message on hope.
Everybody needs hope, especially right now. I feel like people are just, especially just in the age that we live in, I think there's so many things that are thrown at us that I think we forget that we have hope.
We have hope.
And that there is always hope regardless of what happens in our life or what gets thrown in our way or what situation you may lie in. Like, there's never defeat. Like, you can always have hope and choose that instead. You're
absolutely right. The title of the message on Sunday, and we will be streaming it. So I think you can go to Total Praise and Worship center.com or just on YouTube, just look it up, and I'm gonna see if we can have somebody put it on YouTube under my name, Kat Perkins.
That would be great because we could share it. Yeah,
IamKatPerkins.com. So I'll get that information
and
get it to you.
Yes, that would be amazing.
So that is Sunday, but the title of the message will be "There's No Place Like Hope."
That's awesome.
Yeah, there's no place like hope.
I love that. Yeah. Your book, so where is it going to be sold? On your website?
It's going to be on my website.
Okay.
So, and here's what I'd like for you all to do. If you go to info at IamKatPerkins.com, info at IamKatPerkins.com, info at IamKatPerkins.com, and just get on the waiting list for the book.
Okay.
Get on the waiting list, and then we'll have all your information. You're going to put your email in there. So when it's time for you to go in and hit click on Amazon, it's going to be on all the platforms. It's going to be ebook platform, Amazon, Books A Million. They've got a whole genre of places it's going to be, but it will be out there.
Awesome.
So, and also we also have another website. It's called girlswithpearls.com, www.girlswithpearls.com.
Okay.
So they're basically trying to fuse those two together now, but you can always get them both, but always go to info at IamKatPerkins.com. So that way I can answer you personally.
Yeah.
Okay. IamKatPerkins.com. And then you can reach me, and I promise you I'll get you the information because I'm really excited about it.
Would this be an audio book as well?
This is going to be an audio book as well. And you know what, Jeanette?
That's like my favorite because just to listen to you, I love it.
They were like, well, do you want to hire somebody, an actor or
something? No, nothing tells your story much more than you.
And I said, no. I said, I might mess up a couple of times, but I think I better do it myself because the actor didn't go through this. I went through this. This is real. This is not no fake thing. This is not no play thing. This is some real stuff that happened to me.
Yes.
I was in the foster care system, and I know there are many women and many girls who've gone through foster care system and are in the system right now. I was in the foster care system, and molested in the foster care system by people that were supposed to take care of me. You know, so nobody can tell that story but me,
Right.
because the actor wasn't there, I was there.
Right.
You know, so, you know, again, I might have a blooper or two in it, but you know.
But I love that, just because just for me, even hearing you read, I'm like just in it. You know what I mean? You know, when you hear somebody, and I listen to a lot of podcasts or some audiobooks sometimes, and there are some people when it's not the author, it's somebody else.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just like, I can't listen to you anymore. You are too boring. I can't stick with you. I can't rock with it. And then but then I find people that like, okay, you're engaging me the entire time. And that's how I feel like your voice is, and just the way you storytell.
Thank you.
That's great.
Wow. Thank you.
And I love also, like, I'm a big like affirmation person as well. Like, I'm the one, I do this. I feel like this is what I use all of my like social media for. Like, I save like affirmation quotes, or if there's like a video posted, and it feeds my soul a lot.
Good.
So I love this kind of stuff, because this is a thing where I can like look at for hours. It just like helps me understand sometimes a little bit deeper on who I am as a person. And then also you find other people online that like have gone through the same things you have gone through.
Yep, you're
and
right.
nobody will ever relate unless they've walked through the same shoes.
Wow.
You know,
right. You're right.
and and when you find people like that, like you have a lot of similarities in a story that I have as well. And so it's nice to hear other women be vocal about their stories,
Right.
because a lot of women, they don't want to talk about it.
Right.
There's shame in their past. And they choose to like look the other way, when it's like, man, lean into your story, because it's amazing and it's beautiful, and you can share, you can help other people.
Right. Yeah, we have to tell our stories.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I did a reading last week. I'm a part of the Rotary Club International, and in my county in Georgia, we had a special reading of my book 2 weeks ago. And one of the young ladies she wasn't there, but her friend was there. And I saw her again on Saturday. She's from the one of my women's group, the National Coalition of Negro Women, NCNW. And I saw her. She says, somebody has a similar story as yours. And one of the young ladies she said, this is who I was telling you about. I was telling you about Kat. Her story is so much like yours. And I'm like, what is your story? She said, I was raised in the foster care system. My mother died when I was a little girl.
Wow.
Things happened to me when I was in the foster care system. And I'm like, wow, like I said, this is not just my story. This is your story.
Yeah.
And her story. And probably his story. You know? So this is not just for me. And you talked about therapy. You mentioned the word therapy. You know, in African American community, I guess, when I was coming up, you know, we weren't afforded therapy. You know, what is that? We keep your business in the house. You don't tell.
Oh
nobody.
yeah, I'm Latina, and so that therapy didn't exist.
That's what I'm saying. You know, that didn't happen. It didn't happen. But writing this book was my therapy.
I bet it was.
The more I wrote, the more things came back to me, and the more I was able to. I'm writing and crying. I'm writing and praying, and I'm saying, Lord, I can't do it. I can't. I don't know if I can keep doing this. I don't know if I can keep going. When I started reading last week for the Rotary Club, I had to catch myself, because I felt myself ready to break down. I'm like, you can't do it. Don't do it, D. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it. But it was my therapy, and I'm like, this stuff is real. It's real. So for all that's listening, for any trials, any adversities, any trauma, any drama that you've gone through in your life, I know that the struggle is real.
Yeah.
Because this, again, is not just about me. It's about you, too. And it's time for you to open up your book and tell your story. If you can't read it, write it. If you can't write it, have somebody else write it. But we need to tell it, because the world needs to know.
Yeah.
The world needs to know.
That's awesome.
And it's okay.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so, I'm like, I can't wait now. This is so good. All of it, like everything you said, even just like those small pieces, and even for you now, like so you had breast cancer. How far removed are you from that situation?
I was diagnosed in July of 23. It was real crazy. I was diagnosed and didn't even know what was happening. But I'm gonna give you just a little story, not much, but just a little story. I'm at home. I live in Covington on 60 acres, and I love outside. I love the birds, the moon, all that. And this bird kept coming to the house. And she was coming to the house every day. And she was coming to every room I was in, the bird would show up. I'm in the kitchen. She's in the kitchen. I started feeding her apples and pears. I'm like, this little bird is so cute. Oh my God. And she was just coming to the window, just looking at me. And I'm like, what's going on with this bird? I'm in the shower. I look up Sunshine. I named her Sunshine. I'm in the shower. Sunshine is in the shower looking at me. I'm like, what is happening? And one day I'm in the back of the house in my husband's boy room. And I'm like, Sunshine is in the window looking at me all the way in the back of the house. And it scared me. And I'm like, because I never go back there.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, this is all the way in the back. I'm talking to her like I'm talking to you. Sunshine, how the heck you know I'm back here? I'm like, what is going on? Is something happening? Am I sick? Is somebody dying? What is going on?
Yeah.
Because you keep showing up. And not only was she just showing up at the window, one night it was dark, 7 o'clock. Sunshine was beating on my picture window of the house. And I'm saying, something is up. And I didn't know what it was. I'm like, what? God had a message for me, and I didn't know what it was. But that day I heard it at that window, but that morning I was in the bathroom and I'm like, okay, something is wrong. I said, Lord, I'm like, I can't read sign language, Sunshine. Tell me I'm screaming at her now. What are you doing? What are you trying to say to me? Because I don't know. I can't read no sign language. You're scaring me. What's happening? People, if anybody walked with, they probably thought I was crazy. Yeah. Oh, get out. Because I'm talking to a bird on the outside.
Right, on the outside of the side.
On the outside of the window. I'm hollering and screaming at this bird. And something in my spirit said, you need to go get a mammogram. I promise you, if my name ain't Kathleen Diane Perkins, and they call me Kat for short, something said, go get a mammogram. And I said, maybe I should just go get a mammogram. I started doing this, feeling my TTs and stuff. Maybe I should go get a mammogram. Because I just had a lot of tests on my eyes, and they took all these blood tests because I was having this issue with my eyes.
Yeah.
And they never found anything wrong with my eyes. Well, they did find something, but, there was nothing terminal, no cancer. All that stuff was clear.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, well, what could be happening? But let me just go get a mammogram because that's the only thing I can think of. I went and got that mammogram, and within 10 days, they sent me a letter. They called me on the phone. I missed a call. They called me. They emailed me. I didn't get that. So they sent me a letter and said, you need to get back in here because your mammogram is abnormal. And I started not to even open. I just looked at it and I tossed it to the side, and something said, fool, pick that up. And I picked it up and I read it. And I'm like, whoa, what is that? And I called my daughter. I said, I sent her the text message. I said, what is this? She said, it's probably nothing, but just call them. And I called them on the phone. They said, yeah, you need to get back in here like right away. And I went and I had a second mammogram. And I never forget, I took my girlfriend with me and they sent me the results within a couple of days. And the result says, you need to go see a surgeon because your mammogram is abnormal. So now I'm like on panic mode. What am I going to do? What surgery? Who am I supposed to see? Where am I supposed to go? What's happening here?
Yeah.
What is happening? See, the issue was my husband had just finished a bout with colon cancer. It hadn't been 6 months.
Oh, my gosh.
He had just finished 12 rounds of chemotherapy himself. And I'm saying, hold on. That was David's thing. That ain't my thing.
Yeah.
That's this cannot be right. I'm serious. This cannot be right. So I called my friend that's a doctor, and I told him what they said. And he said, okay, well, call this doctor. And I called her, and she was kind of like, I just out to lunch or something. I don't know. She didn't take it serious, and she didn't, when you hear something like that, you like, I need something right now.
Yeah.
You ain't waiting next week. Don't give me no 2 weeks.
Right.
Because I ain't going to make it. I need to know right now. So she was just too haphazard, and she just was not, she wasn't into it. She was not the caring doctor that I thought she should have been. So I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know who to go see. I'm in the phone book. I'm looking on internet researching doctors. And one day I'm on my way to my trainer. Now, anybody knows me knows that I love a good garage sale, yard sale, estate sale. That's my thing. You may think I'm wearing on a $2,000 outfit, but it may cost me $2 because I love that kind of stuff, right? So I'm riding down the street and I got to go to my personal trainer. And I'm like, dang, I see the sign on the side of the road, yard sale, estate sale. And I'm like, oh God, but I got to go see Sam. They said it started at 10 o'clock. That's right about the time that I should be finished with Sam, right? So I go see that and I go see Sam and I came back to go to the yard sale, the estate sale. And I'm driving down the street and this woman was jogging up the street, coming up this hill. And I pulled over to the side because I can hear her talking to herself. Come on, girl, you can do it. Come on, D. Come on, Alicia, you got it. You got it. And I rolled down my window. I pulled over to the side. Now, I don't know this woman. I just want you to know. And she probably thought I was crazy. I rolled my window down. And I said, hey, girl, you kicking that heel's tail. And she said, She just busted out laughing. She said, "Oh my God." She said, "I'm training for a marathon." And she said, "And I don't have no trainer, so I'm just trying to train myself." So we break up this conversation. I tell her I just left my trainer, yada, yada, yada. And I said, and she says, "Well, I'm trying to do this training thing because I'm training for a marathon." She said, "Because it's kind of hard to do any other time because, I work. I'm an oncologist nurse." And I said, "What'd you say?"
Stop.
She says, I'm an oncologist nurse, and I work at Northside Hospital. And my doctor, I work for this doctor named Dr. Janine Pettiford. She blew my mind. And I'm like, hold on, wait. Dr. Janine Pettiford, the surgeon for breast cancer? She said, "Yeah." I said, "Let me tell you something." I said, "I just got this letter that said I need to see a surgeon, and I don't know one." I said, and I looked her up, and I called her office, and I couldn't get her on the phone. I couldn't get any appointments. I don't know what to do. She said, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. But let me tell you what you're going to do." She said, "Take this number down, and you call them, and you tell them that Alicia said, make you an appointment." This was Friday. On Monday morning, I did just what she said. The lady says, "Oh yeah, she already told me that you were calling. I can't get you to see Dr. Pettiford this week, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in the back door. We're going to get your biopsy first. And then she'll automatically double back and come and see you right after you get the biopsy results."
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, biopsy." So all those cancer words start coming. They start scaring the bejesus out of me. But
Yeah.
hey, it was my steps were ordered. This was orchestrated. It had nothing to do with me. Had nothing to do with the garage sale. Had nothing to do with an estate sale. Because I want you to know I never found it. It was never there.
What?
I asked her. She never even knew. She said, "I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't see no sign. I saw."
Are you serious?
She never saw it. Though I went back. I rode up and down the street. I'm like, there has got to be an estate sale in this community somewhere. I am not crazy.
That's insane.
There was never a sale. But God knew what would get my attention. He knew what would get my attention.
Oh my gosh.
So she did that. And that's how I ended up with my surgeon, was through Angel, my angel. I call her my angel. Her name was Alicia.
Yeah.
When I went to get my biopsy, guess who was my nurse? Alicia. Wasn't even the same office that she normally works out of. She was there.
Oh my gosh.
She held my hand. She talked to me. She rubbed me. My TT, just petted me, rubbed my arm. She comforted me. She prayed with me. That was the most important and the best and the greatest thing she ever could have done. She prayed with me. And she said, whatever the circumstances, whatever the outcome is, just know that you're going to be all right because God has you covered. This wasn't no black thing, wasn't no white thing, because she was not a black woman. She wasn't African American. She was the cutest little white chick I ever seen. And I love her to death. I call her my angel. She's Alicia.
Oh
it's my
my
angel.
gosh.
So we went through that, did the biopsy, and the results, they did it on a Thursday. The doctor called me Friday morning the very next day with the results. It was quick, fast, in a hurry. And I'm like, wow. And I'm like, okay. So what do we do now? They gave me an appointment and everything just started going just like that. I was scared to death. Don't get me wrong. Now I'm strong. I'm tough. I'm like hard as nails, but I don't care what anybody says. If you hear the C word, you're going to be scared.
You're going to be scared.
You're going to be scared.
Absolutely.
You're going to be shaking in your boots, because I was scared. I'm like, Lord, not me. That was my husband's thing. He just finished that. I don't want to do that. My brothers, no, my mother died. No, I don't want to do that. My other, not me too. Please, Lord, not me. Not now. My kids need me. My grandchildren need me. That's how I was thinking was my children. And what's greater to happen? Because I didn't know. I didn't know that 1 out of 8 women develop breast cancer. Those are statistics right now.
I did not know that statistic either.
So many variations of breast cancer. It's not just, because I'm saying if it's a tumor, why you just can't pluck it out and keep it going? They said no, because we have to determine what kind it is, where it is, and how it is, and why it is. It was a whole bunch of it is. It was amazing. It was just really mind-blowing. So I went to the mammogram, got the biopsy, went to see Dr. Pettiford. I had an entourage with me. They was like, what is going on? Everybody, all of my children. I've got 3 children, 2 grandchildren. My nephew, I call my nephew's son, who lives here in Atlanta. He flew down. My husband, we had the hospital room covered. We was full in the room just for the exam. Now this wasn't a surgery. This is just an exam. Because if I was getting some news, they were all getting some news. Right? Because it didn't just affect me. It affected everybody. This is everybody's thing. So we went through that, and she did her check, and she checked the results, and she says, well, I'm going to have to tell you, yes, it is breast cancer. But we caught it early, and you're going to be all right. And that's all I heard. I'm like, I'm going to be all right. She said, yeah, you're going to be all right. So just, you can get some new TTs out the deal if you want to, but I didn't have to do that because they didn't do mastectomy. They did a lumpectomy, which is an incision that you can't hardly even see now, that took out the tumor out of my right breast. And they took out 4 lymph nodes from up under my arm.
Okay.
And because they found a microscopic cell of the lymph nodes, attempting to form. Now, let me tell you something. Now, this is when I'm talking about obedience and listening to your body and listening to the spirit and listening to birds knocking and beating on your window. Now, I can't tell you how long Sunshine had been beating on that window because she had been coming for a while. But because I stopped and I took heed and I listened and I said, okay, something's up. What's going on? I was able to be saved. Had I ignored her, had I ignored the signs, had I ignored the spirit, I'm talking about these 2 birds, and not only was Sunshine, I call it her man. It was Ricky, the red bird. Sunshine was brown and orange, and Ricky was a red bird. And I'm serious. I named them Sunshine and Ricky. Sometimes I would call my husband and say, I went to a training one day.
That's so funny.
And I called him and I said, baby, do you see Sunshine and Ricky outside? He said, no, I don't see them. And he said, why do you ask? I said, because they're here in Edenton and they're swarming around me. I promise you, they were swarming around me in the tree. And I'm like, what in the heck is happening? The birds were protecting me and they was giving me a message that something was happening that I needed to take note. I'm serious. People may think I'm nuts, but I promise you, this is real. This is real. This is entirely real. So I went through all that stuff. Sunshine and Ricky, they brought the word. They saved my life. God connected me with my angel Alicia, who connected me with my life-saving surgeon, who was ordained, and this whole thing was orchestrated. It was divine order, and she covered me. She healed me, and the rest is history. I went through 12 rounds of chemotherapy, 20 rounds of radiation. It burned up my breast from here all the way. I'm talking about this is no joke. So you all don't want none of this. So I'm telling you, women, don't wait till October. The lies, that's a lie that they tell. I mean, that's a good lie, but it's a lie that they tell. Don't wait till October. Go right now. I tell you in a heartbeat minute, please go get your TTs checked because your life depends on it. You don't want none of this. The radiation was hard on me. I went through the chemotherapy, but I didn't get sick. And that's another story. I'm not going to tell you about all that because I know we got to go. But, that's another story. But the chemotherapy was not as bad as I would think. It didn't make me sick. But that radiation, that was a booger bear. I mean, I was in the bed just, not from weak and torn up and just can't make it. But because I had a 2nd and 3rd degree burn up under my breast from the last treatment. And I went through 19 treatments and it didn't bother. But that last one took me on a ride that I just didn't want to go on. So it was awful. But anyway, 3 weeks time it healed up, and so again I'm here. I'm here to live to tell you about the story, But I'm resilient in my health. I'm resilient in my life. I'm resilient in my wealth, with my love, with my husband, with my life. I am a resilient pearl, and so are you, and so are you. And that's my story.
I love it. It's awesome. I'm going to make sure. So with every podcast episode that we put out, I put a blog post and an email. So I'll make sure I have your bio and stuff, but I will put like your website and all of this information so people can find you. Because I'm assuming you'll probably, once you start getting going after the book release, you may be back to do some speaking engagements here.
I would love to come back because, after all, this is home.
Yes.
And I would love to come back here and talk to you. Yeah. I would love to do that. Yes.
Thank you so much. I know you have like such a busy weekend, but thank you for making a stop just to be on this podcast, just to talk about your story and your book. And it's super powerful.
Thank you.
I mean, I feel like I'm leaving like just being a better human by meeting you and hearing what you've just
Thank you for
went
saying
through.
that.
And
Wow.
so this is why I love doing these episodes, because you never know people's
never know.
stories.
You really
You
don't.
have no idea. People look one way on social media, and that's kind of the premise of how it started. Like at first I was like, oh, I want to talk about behind the social media, behind the perfect photos and videos, but really it's just behind people in general, because I think everybody puts on a facade and puts like their best face forward, and they don't really, let people in sometimes to show what their stories are. And I love that I was able to hear your story and how you're using it to impact others.
Well, thank you. They say don't judge a book by its cover, right? Because you never know. Somebody is always going through something.
Yes.
And like I talk about the breast cancer. I talk about the things that happened to me as a child. But yesterday, I'm gonna tell you the story, and then we're gonna leave. But yesterday, Ned and I, we went to dinner, and we were sneaking eating big dinners. This time we was having lobster. Because I'm like, I don't want a lobster tail. I want a real lobster, girl. Give me a lobster. So we went to eat lobster. So we went to McCormick and Smith, which is really my favorite place. But they didn't have what I wanted. They had a little lobster tail, and I didn't want a little. I wanted a. If I'm gonna splurge, I wanted to see. We were sneaking away from. Nobody knew where we were. Right?
Yeah.
And they were standing there. We were waiting on this beautiful meal and this lobster to come. And this lady was standing up talking to her family or friends, and she was so pretty, but but she was just standing there staring at me. Wasn't she, Nana? She was just staring at me, and I'm like, well, hey. How you doing, girl? Love your hair.
Like, do I know you?
Why you I love your hair. So, your hair is sharp. And she says, oh, thank you. She said, yours too. You too. And I'm like, okay. But she kept staring at me, and I started saying, what is there? Is something going on? But I didn't say anything.
Yeah.
So finally, she turned away, and she walked away. But I could only see her from the side. But Netta saw her from the front. And Netta said, I think she got one of them things in her chest. I said, what? And I said, oh my God. So I stopped, I jumped up, and I ran out the door after her. And I said, hey. She turned around, and I could see her chest. And I said, let me show you mine. And she looked at me, and she hugged me. She said, I knew it was something. I knew it was something, because she couldn't see my port.
Yeah.
But it was something that she felt.
Like some
about
sort of
me.
connection.
It was a connection, and she grabbed me. I'm telling you, we was out there for 15 minutes. She was holding on to me. She wouldn't let me go. She was crying and crying and crying. And she says, your story. She said, tell me, where are you with it? Where? And I said, well, I saw her port, which meant that she was in it.
Yeah.
I said, my port is gone. I'm out of it. But I see that you are still in it.
Yeah.
She said, yeah, she had to come back through it. She had been through it, had a mastectomy. Now she's got to go through treatment again. Some things, the chemotherapy that she had, what they call red devils, like the beast of the beast of the beast. It destroyed some of her organs in her body. She's going through it. And all she could do was, she just needed to talk to somebody that could understand.
Yeah.
And she just grabbed me, she just held me, she just cried. She brought tears to my eyes, and I prayed with her, and I just talked to her. We exchanged numbers, and I told her, like I'm telling everybody else, she is a resilient pearl. You are a resilient pearl. No matter what we face, we are resilient. No matter what it looks like. I'm saying, whose report you going to believe? You going to believe the report of them people at the doctor's office, the one over here, what we reading on Dr. Google? Or are you going to believe the report of God who's already ordained and orchestrated your healing?
Yeah.
This is why you and I connected right now. We wasn't even supposed to be in that place. We were supposed to be at McCormick and Smith. But we ended up at, what's the name of it? Ocean Air. Yeah, the Ocean Air. And we was like complaining, Dad, this stuff sure is expensive, but we eat lobster, what can we say? But I was supposed to be there. And I was supposed to be there for her.
Wow.
So she's from Texas. And guess what else?
What?
Her name was the same as mine.
Stop.
Her name was Kathy.
Oh my gosh. Did she have pearls on too?
She had pearls on. She had pearls on. So
Look
I'm
at
saying
that.
that was so profound.
Literally,
So
yeah.
this is
Like
not
a
about
complete
me.
God moment.
This is not just a book. This is not a book with a message, or not just a book with a message. This is a movement.
Yeah.
Girls with Pearls Have Power is a movement. So remember that.
Yes.
And on that note, I'm going to let you go.
I love it. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Oh my gosh. I'm so excited just to even share all of this.
Thank you
All
for
right. We'll
having
see
me.
you on the next time, we have a Behind the Filter. You can always find more details on Kat and her book. Like I said, I'll post it on the email and on the blog and all over social media and at JohnetteCruz.com.